Okay. If they should get back with you, patients, let us know, please. I think all of the ones are now ready. They all have check marks by them now. Thank you. Ooh, all
Thank
right.
you.
You. Thank you, too. I can.
Greetings,
Greetings,
everyone.
everyone.
My
My
name is
name is
Dr.
Dr.
Patience
Patience
Abiedu.
Abiru.
I am
I am
thrilled
thrilled
to be a
to be a
guest
guest
on
on
Fanaticism
Fanaticism
Revealed.
Revealed.
I was
I
born
was born
to
to
John D.
John D.
Mofo
Mofo
and
and
Dorothy
Dorothy
Mofo,
Mofo,
West
West
Cameroon,
Cameroon,
the name
the
given
name given
to the
to the
former
former
British Southern
British Southern
Cameroons
Cameroons
after it
after
was
it was
federated
federated
with our
with our
Republic de
Republic de
Cameroon.
Cameroon.
However,
However,
I was
I was
raised in a
raised in a
country that
country
went
that went
through
through
numerous name
numerous name
changes
changes
due to
due to
political
political
manipulations.
manipulations.
My
My
elementary
elementary
and
and
secondary school
secondary school
education were
education were
in
in
mission
mission and
government
government
schools.
schools.
In
In
1983,
1983,
after a
after a
brief
brief
stint
stint
at the
at the
University of Yaoundé, I joined my husband with can you hear me? I joined my husband at the University of Los Angeles, California, to obtain my bachelor's of degree in biology. 4 years later, I had the opportunity to finish a doctor of pharmacy degree at the University of Southern California. Over my 30 years career as a pharmacist, I've worked in both inpatient and outpatient pharmacy in both staff and managerial positions. The first of 10 children, I'm blessed with a large family, a large loving family, including two mothers, a husband, two beautiful daughters, aunts, uncles, nephews, cousins, and in-laws. In life, my motto has always been, my health is my wealth. And I pray to God on a daily basis to bless me with great health or good health. As a community leader, my passion to leave this world is to leave this world a better place than I met it as an agent of change. In that light, over 3 decades, I have done and continue to do a lot to improve the numerous community groups I belong to. My newest and most promising assignment as an agent of change is to be a catalyst for Ambazonia's international recognition. I look forward to the day when its flag will be hoisted in Boya. And it's a pleasure working on this new movement with you wonderful ladies. Thank you so much.
I guess I'm the last one now. Uh, we can't hear you, Asia, but I think you are asking me to go on. Okay. I would like to say hello to all the beautiful ladies. Um, my name is Emma Endele. I was born in Kumba
bar
in
in
Cameroon,
Cameroon.
and I left Cameroon after my high school. In those days, College of Arts and Science, Bambele, and I came to the US where I studied English and journalism and worked in Radio Cameroon, Boya Station, and Nigerian Television Authority. I am a wife and mother of children, a lot of children. I raised maybe about 50 children, but only four of them are mine. I will describe myself first as a mother, a woman, a citizen of the world. I hate injustice. That's why I cannot sit still or sit quiet without commenting and doing something about the genocide going on in my country and the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you all so much. It is such a pleasure to work with you all. Um, we are going to jump right into the program, just to say to our viewers and our guests, um, we want you to ask questions in the chat. Anything it is that comes to your heart, anything about the show, any question that you have, understanding that the recording of this show is going to some key figures who are in who have the power to make change. So please fill the chat up with your comments, your thoughts, your questions. We welcome them. Although this is not the kind of Q&A tonight that we will be answering your questions from the chat. So we have a list of questions that these wonderful ladies are going to respond to us. And so I will share the screen now to do that. Okay. All right. Okay. So here we go. All right. I'd like to start with Winnie Labate. Winnie, why are you involved in working to bring peace and justice for the people of Amazonia?
Thank you,
Thank you,
Amy,
Amy,
for
for
that
that
question.
question.
Uh,
Uh,
fairness
Fairness
is
is
something
something
that
that
is
is
dear to
dear
my
to my
heart.
heart.
And
And
being
being
right
right
and
and
treating
treating
people
people
right
right
and
and
well
well
is
is
what is
what is
also
also
my
my
passion.
passion.
Um,
Um,
Looking
Looking
at the
at the
condition
condition
of
of
what
what
has
has
been
been
going
going
on
on
in
in
Amazonia,
Amazonia,
as
as
we
we
call the
call the
former
former
British
British
Southern
Southern
Cameroon
Cameroon
today,
today,
I
I
could
could
not
not
sit
sit
by
by
comfortably
comfortably
in the
in the
US
US
and
and
just
just
ignore
ignore
what is
what is
going
going
on.
on.
The
The
pain,
pain,
the
the
killing,
killing,
the
the
atrocities,
atrocities,
they
they
are
are
ones
ones
that
that
I
I
cannot
cannot
even
even
bear to
bear to
look
look
at the
at the
blood
blood
and
and
all the
all the
people that
people
are
that are
being
being
shot.
shot.
So,
So,
with
with
who I
who I
am and
am
what
and
is
what
in
is
my
in my
call
call,
to help the weak, I chose to join and help to bring peace and justice.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yes. You are in light company here, Winnie. Thank you so much. All right. Next question to Patience Abiadu. It is known throughout history that women bear the brunt of war during warring periods. Can you tell the audience the plight of Amazonian women?
Yes, my dear. Thank you for that question. As a mother and a wife, I have seen our women go through hell in Amazonia. We know that the mother is the heart of the home, is the heartbeat, I should say, of the home. And what is happening in Amazonia is devastating. We recall when this struggle started, or conflict, as they call it internationally, when it started, we remember seeing videos of our young student girls asked by the military to swim in sewage and mud. That is dehumanizing. We also know that a lot of our mothers have lost their sons and daughters because of this war and lost property because of this war. We also know that we find that Some of them are refugees in neighboring countries. A lot of them are internally displaced. You have women like Mami Api, in her old age, was burnt alive in her home. We have mothers and women that use moss plant for sanitary pads because they have no access to sanitary pads. We have women giving birth to children in the bushes. We have women that are forced to reveal the location of their loved ones, and if not, they get brutalized, they get imprisoned, and the worst case is gang rape. A lot of our women and girls are molested by the military, which is an old tactic in war, raping women. In fact, there was a case a few years ago that was just revealed by human rights, where in a village, they discovered that over 20 girls, 20 women were raped, including disabled children and girls. So women do bear the brunt of war because of the fact that they've lost the husbands that they have that take care of their home, and they have to be the ones to take over to make sure that life goes on. And life is never the same in Amazonia because the mother is not complete without her life partner, without her children. It is war. It is sad. It is a sad case. Thank you for that question.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Patience Abiadu. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for revealing and showing what we so need to see. Thank you. All right.
Every day I wake and everything is broken. Turning off my phone just to get out of bed. Get home every evening and history's repeating. Turning off my phone cause it's hurting my chest. Yeah, and heaven knows I'm not helpless.
Excuse me, guys. Remember, this is the first show, and if it was on any other platform, there would be those first show issues. Okay. So, yes. Back to where we were saying. Alana Blusoul. Your family hails from Ukraine. How did the news of the war in Ukraine affect you?
When I heard the news for the first time 2 months ago, I was in shock. My family is from Ukraine. My father's family is from Kiev and Zhytomyr Oblast, which is near Kiev. And my mother's family suffered great pain during the Holodomor that was happening in Ukraine in 1930s. Holodomor was when all of the food was taken from Ukrainian people and other people in the country as well. But Ukrainians suffered greatly, and there was lots of death by starvation. So my mother's family was sent to Siberia, and that's how they survived. So when I heard the news of the war, it was these memories and stories of war on which I grew up. And people of my generation, I'm in my early 50s, people of my generation all had parents and grandparents who lived through the war. As a matter of fact, my mother and father were born in the first year of World War II when Hitler's Nazi Germany invaded Ukraine. And so the stories of war from my grandparents, from my aunts and uncles, and also from my younger brother who being in a Russian army, which was a mandatory at the time. I'm not sure about now, but it was mandatory at the time. He was in the war of Chechnya and never recovered from that. So at first I had shock when I received the news, because I don't know how much more people of Ukraine can take, because they, for hundreds of years, they were between the rock and the hard place, between Russia and Poland and Romania and Czechoslovakia and Austria and Sweden. So the wars were unfolding around them at all times, and the people were trapped in it, like in the wars. And now it's going on again in the territory of Ukraine. This is 21st century, and we still have wars, and that's why I'm here. I would love to see that end. No more wars. And I will do everything in my power to bring about peace. And that's it. I have nothing more to add to it. I was in shock when I heard the news of the war.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, dear Alana. Thank you so much for all of this is so valuable. So extremely valuable. Thank you. All right. Okay. All right. Miss Underlay, why do you think the genocide in Amazonia has not reached the ears of the world? That's a question I really want to hear the answer to.
Thank you very much, Asia, for that question. I think that is the $1 million question for everybody who has been following the genocide going on in Amazonia for the last 5 years. All of a sudden, Russia attacked Ukraine, killing people, bombing their cities, and it was like deja vu. This is happening in Ukraine, but this has been happening in Amazonia for the last 5 years. Innocent civilians were being killed every day, and nobody in the world was seeing these pictures or hearing what was going on. So it was like we started saying, "Oh, what is going on?" All of a sudden it was, "Oh, Black lives don't matter," and people started asking questions. What is Amazonia? What is going on? I can think of a few reasons why our story has been so out of the media, especially the mainstream media. Those who have been following the internet are a little bit wise about what is happening. And one of the first reasons that I can think of is Cameroon. La République du Cameroon has always lived in a cocoon. They have shielded their problems and everything that is happening in that country by strict resistance against the media. Journalists are not free to report anything. Journalists are arrested and killed if they want to tell the truth, the true story of what is happening in the country. So many journalists have been jailed. They are right now still in jail. Now, and another thing, so first of all, there's a guard on the press. You can, the government tells the media what to transmit. If you try to tell the truth and send out any pictures, you are arrested, you might be thrown in jail, you might be killed. So with this, they have been able to hide the truth for 61 years. Another thing has been, which happened within the last 5 years was the killing of the internet. You know, they they shut it down. So there's no communication. Nothing is living in the form of stories or history or truth or pictures from Cameroon, and nothing was coming in. It was so bad that I think they shut down the internet for like 3 months, and the world started asking what is going on. So that is another way that Cameroon was able to hide everything that was happening. And another thing is that they have long arms. Um, Cameroon, as a lot of people know, is actually being controlled by France. Um, France never left Cameroon as a colony. France is still running that country. So the influence of the French government, to stop or to make everything that is happening in Cameroon look like a small, simple, um, just they don't even call it a revolution. It was always referred to as an internal problem, problem of terrorism, terrorists, and they gave it all kinds of names. It was supposed to be like a little quarrel, but it was a genocide going on, and it was carefully hidden from the rest of the world. Even if you follow this, if you follow the history, even missionaries who came from Europe, from America, they were even killed in the process of this war that was going on. And not enough exposure was given to what is happening in Amazonia. It was a deliberate, calculated action. So the media of the media of the
Of the
world
world
was
was
not
not
informed.
informed.
Okay.
They did
They
not
did
know
not know
what was
what was
happening.
happening.
Yes, and
But
But
that's
thank God
thank God
for the
for the
war
war
in
in
Ukraine
Ukraine
and
and
for
for
the
the
government in
government in
exile,
exile,
the
the
Amazonian
Amazonian
government.
government.
We
We
have been
have been
trying to
trying to
take
take
our
our
story
story
to the
to the
whole
whole
world.
world.
okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. All right. Thank you. Yes. All right. Miss Labate, what practical ways can we implement to stop the wars or assist those suffering on the ground from your vantage point?
Asia,
Asia,
thank you
thank you
for
for
asking me
asking
that
me
question.
that question.
I
I
think
think
let me
let me
start with
start
what
with
we
what
have
we have
done,
done,
and it did not yield a lot of fruit, or it may still bear fruit. Most Amazonians have been around many embassies around the world, in Europe and America, and even in South Africa. British embassy, French embassy, Cameroon embassy, US embassy, written to the UN, demonstrated in front of the UN. But it really did not leave a big impact as we would like for it to happen. Just coming to a show like this, that you have given us this platform, is one way to bring awareness. And once awareness, when something is in dark, people don't see it and they don't know that something is hiding, then it can continue. The genocide in Amazonia continued. They tried to cut the internet for several months until um, the former U.S. president had to even announce that during an UN um, uh, uh, UN National Assembly, the UN Assembly. I think it was 2019. If not 19, it was 20. And when he said that, it became like a taboo that in this 21st century, people are cutting off internet services. So awareness is one way that we can bring and shine the light on the evil, because when you shine the light, you can shame it and you can call it for what it is. Um, we
We
had
had
genocide in the past in Africa. It happened in Rwanda, and the world turned a blind eye. And when that happened, they said, never again are we going to let this happen. But we were shocked when what is happening in Amazonia has been going out on for 5 years, and few people knew about it. So one way is awareness, talk about it, discuss it, but not only do that. Call your Congress people, ask them. We hear that this is going on in Cameroon and genocide. What is going on that? Are you guys supporting this country? Why is our State Department not making a statement about this country for carrying out these kinds of atrocity? That's one way. Personally, we can do that, but collectively, we can also do that. For those who are suffering, um, there is an organization called the UNHCR, which is supposed to be taking care of refugees all over the world. But when it comes to the refugees of Amazonia who fled into Nigeria and other parts of the world, we've seen little assistance. Even those who have been registered, what has happened to them is they have been abandoned to themselves. Um, they don't get support. It's regularly, it is not guaranteed. We can be asking for, especially for those people who are supporting not-for-profit organizations that take care of humanitarian disasters across the world, and especially with the UNHCR, which is an arm of the UN. You can call them. Why is the plight of Amazonia not so much uh, discussed? Why have you guys not been raising funds? Why are you not portraying that to the international community? Because if you do that, it will bring more awareness, and in so doing, it will help provide the resources that can alleviate the suffering for those who have taken refuge outside of Amazonia. But we also have people that are internally displaced. I'm glad that Dr. Patience talked about women bearing the brunt. Can you imagine? Many women have been having babies in the bushes. Can you imagine? Many ladies have been going in the bushes and having their monthly period without sanitary pads to help them just take care of basic needs. So we can all put our little resources together, and even not just that, but also cry out and do something about it, and then shame all these people
people
who
who
are
are
orchestrating
orchestrating
war
war. Yes.
and
And
actually
actually
hiding
hiding
it
it
and
and
covering
covering
up
up
because of
because
their
of their
greed,
greed,
and
and
even
even
some
some
companies
companies
that
that
just
just
want to
want to
get a
get a
share
share
of the
of the
resources of
resources of
Amazonia,
Amazonia,
turn a
turn a
blind
blind
eye
eye
to
to
all
all
what is
what is
going
going
on,
on,
just so
just so
that they
that they
can
can
get
get
a
a
slice of
slice
the
of the
pie.
pie.
This is
This is
called
called
wickedness.
wickedness. Oh my God. Woo! All right, ladies. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Labati. Thank you so much. All right. All right. Woo! All right. All right. Patience Abiadu. In your opinion, what is the most unbelievable, atrocious crime committed thus far in conflict? And right after you answer this question, I'd like to share a video. Thank you.
Yes. You know, when this war started, our young sons and daughters were carrying Dane guns to defend themselves because they were at the verge of extinction. The goal of BIA was to kill all boys 12 years and older. That is some form of ethnic cleansing. We have seen several types of atrocious crimes. I will list them. We have seen babies shot as they are sleeping. Baby Martha of May 20, 2019. We've seen people's neck cut off, the heads cut off their neck. Remember Sam Sawyer and one other young man in Bafut. Those are the ones we've seen, and many more, of course. We have seen old people burnt alive in their homes, and what you just see there is their ashes. Mami Api comes to mind. We saw a case not too long ago of a father taking up the remains of his baby, all burnt, and you're seeing ashes. And when I saw that, I couldn't believe my eyes. We've heard of a baby thrown in oil, in cooking oil. A baby thrown in cooking oil by La Republique Army. We have seen cases. I have not even dare look at this picture, but I still have it on my cell phone. I know it's there. One day I will have the braveness to look at it. Of Florence Ayafo, a warden from Bamenda, whose legs were spread wide open, paraded along the street somewhere in the village, and later on, her neck cut off like somebody cutting the neck of a chicken. And doing so and taking a video of it to show the act. That to me is the most vicious of them all. Of course, we remember the baby, Carolese, who was shot by the military in the back of her seat chair as she was in a car driving to school. I mean, her mother driving her to school because they refused to give the military 500 francs, less than $1. Another child was coming back from school, baby Brandy Turtle, and she was gunned down by the military. You have other acts of violence, scorched earth killing, where they just raze down villages. Of course, those are properties being destroyed. But when you talk about the human toll, we know about the different massacres, the Pinin massacre, the Bali massacre, Recently, the Guzang massacre, there have been 2 massacres in Guzang. The shooting at schools, killing young, innocent children. Several mass graves that we do not even know of exist. We just know they are there because children are just disappearing. But you ask me the question, which is the most hideous of them? I don't know whether my sisters will think something else, but the one that they cut that young lady's neck, for me, maybe it's because the action was so on tape, on record, where you can see it. It's unbelievable. And then that baby that was burned, and the father picked the picture.
All right, thank
That
you.
is horrible.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. All right, I'm going to show a video to our viewers and to each of us, and I pray that it shows just how brokenhearted we all are.
Every day I wake and everything is broken. Turning off my phone just to get out of bed. Get home every evening and history's repeating. Turning off my phone cause it's hurting my chest. Yeah, and heaven knows I'm not helpless. Yeah, but what can I do? I can't see the use in me crying if I'm not even trying to make the change I wanna see. I can't sit and hope, I can't just sit and pray that I can find a love when all I see is pain. Falling to my knees, and though I do believe, I can't just breathe, baby, breathe. I can't just breathe, baby, breathe. All I hear is voices, everybody's talking, nothing real is happening.
Yes. All right. All right. Thank you, ladies, as we move on to the questions. And I pray that hearts are being broken, because sometimes when our hearts break, it causes action. Alana Blusol, what long lingering wounds exist between Russia and Ukraine that still need healing?
She's muted.
I'm trying to unmute her and it's not unmuting for some reason.
I'm so
There we
sorry.
go. All
Okay.
right.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
a good
for a good
question.
question.
I
I
feel
feel
that
that
my fellow Ukrainians are still harboring ill feelings because of the Holodomor that happened in Ukraine in 1932, 1933. As I already mentioned, I grew up on the horror stories of people dying, the whole families dying, the whole villages dying of starvation in those years, especially in the spring of 1933. And however, what I feel is happening right now even more, that the powers that be are constantly provoking people of Russia and Ukraine. And I don't believe for one moment that the leaders of both countries are having their people's interests at heart right now. Neither president. And of course, the weapons that are coming from Europe and from the United States are not making the situation any better. And I am very happy to see that so much compassion is being poured towards the people of Ukraine because they're being displaced, they're being maimed, they're being killed, they're being wounded. However, what about people of other countries? What about peoples of Amazonia? What about peoples of Iraq, Somalia, Yemen, Syria, Afghanistan? Aren't we supposed to pour our compassion to all of these people? And the news are only showing us Ukraine right now, and nothing else. And as long as we get our information from the TV, we are the victims of manipulation. And it's happening everywhere. It's happening in Ukraine, in United States, in Europe, in Russia, and so we need to find people like we have today on this panel. These ladies are from Amazonia. They are from the ground. They know what they're talking about without any false news, without fake. And the war is raging right now, but it is not just a war against people of Ukraine and people of Amazonia or people of Afghanistan or Iraq or Somalia. It is a war against humanity. And we need to ask these questions: who is creating the wars? Who is selling the arms, and who is supplying the money for these people? And so the more and more I see, also I want to bring something else to the panel here. If you have not seen the movie Wag the Dog that was filmed in 1997, I implore you, please watch it. Watch it tonight, watch it tomorrow. Wag the Dog, 1997. It's an American um, political satire comedy. It's supposed to be a comedy, but it's actually a tragedy, produced by Barry Levinson. The film is showing as a spin doctor and a Hollywood producer fabricate a war in Albania to cover up presidential sex scandal and distract voters from that scandal. So doesn't it look
Oh,
clear?
wow.
Right now, the war in Yugoslavia that started on March 24, 1999, after Clinton's scandal. So now we have something else ending here, and the war immediately break out in Ukraine. What is being covered up? These are my questions here. I am complete.
Thank you. Wow, you guys. I hope I make it through this without just going to pieces. I'm just. This is incredible. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Miss Andele. Why do you think what is happening in Amazonia and Ukraine should be called genocide?
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Asia,
Israel.
for that question. I am really, really honored, and I thank you for bringing me into this program. You know, even as the program started, I saw so many new similarities in what is happening in Ukraine and Amazonia. I am hearing for the first time that there was some kind of war or genocide in 1933 in Ukraine. You know, it brings me back the memory of the Maquisards in Amazonia, in La République du Cameroon. Because at that time, in the 50s, I was just a child, but I could hear my parents talking about people's head being cut off and displayed at the side of the road. That is what La République du Cameroon was doing in the 50s. So 61 years later, they came up and they were doing the same thing to Ambazonians. In the 50s, they were killing the Bamilikis, and so many of these Bamilikis fled from their own territory into Amazonia. So it's like history keeps repeating itself. Now again there is genocide in Amazonia. The similarities is just amazing. Look at the killing of civilians. When Russia throws those bombs, where does it land? It lands in hospitals. It lands in orphanages. It lands in homes where there are old people too old to move, too old to run away. Nursing homes, people are killed. In Amazonia, the old people who cannot run to the bushes, they are either killed or burnt alive. Children are shot and killed on their way to school. Not one, not two, many. Students are killed in secondary schools. I mean, which other name can you call it? It's a genocide. It's a genocide in Ukraine. It is a genocide in Amazonia. It was a genocide in Rwanda. Call it as it is. When you kill innocent civilians, it is a genocide. The world has to wake up and do something. Please, I yield, Asia.
You yield, my sister. Okay. You yield. That's what you do. Oh, all right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Miss Underlay. Thank you.
You are muted.
Tell you. Okay. Excuse me. Let me re ask my question. Miss Labate, why do we always have wars even after global treaties and signatures?
I took a deep breath on that one. I cannot. For if you learn your history, you will find out that over the years, centuries, and decades, we've always had treaties, wars, treaties, peace deals, but we still have war breaking out. A good example is what Alana just told us. In 1933, if you know your history well, the Second World War, that's when um, Hitler too was raging across Europe. So somebody needed food, and somebody had to use somebody else's food and take them and starve them and send them to areas that they could not. I think at the core of having treaties and signatures and yet wars still come after that is because people sit on tables that they are signing treaties but they are lying to each other. Honesty is not in their hearts. They they sit there thinking about what they can get and how they can leverage the situation. And when they think maybe they can get some a respite away from the war, but in their hearts, there's no healing. You cannot truly legislate. Let me put it for this better way. You cannot legislate healing. You cannot legislate forgiveness. You cannot legislate reconciliation. You can recommend them. But if you do not provide, if governments, if those who are signing treaties, those who are putting signatures on the lines, if they do not provide the means of people being truly reconciled, forgiving each other, and going deeper into the root causes of why they had the wars in the first place and trying to make amends, justice, then no matter how many treaties we sign, wars will keep going on and will keep breaking up. I it's it's interesting because you heard Emma. My Emma just said something. She said the La République government in the 50s, even before they became independent, they were they were a mandated territory under France because they had people in that territory who really wanted true change, true democratic principles in their country. They were chased out, they were killed, they were slaughtered, heads were hung on poles. And it's sad to say our forefathers um, did not look at that critically to say we're going to go back and sit with such people and even try to sign treaties thinking we can really make things work with people that were in the core of their being were wicked. But I think one way that we can look at was being part of the world is that people are lying, governments are lying, people are sitting at tables and lying to each other. And until we, the common people, until we, the normal people, until we who put those people and give them the authority to sit there and represent us, until we start calling them out and calling out that what you did and what you said and what you wrote, you are not keeping the end of the bargain, then we will continue to have these cycles of
Of
war,
war,
treaties,
treaties,
um, wars,
wars,
treaties.
treaties.
So
So
we need
we
to
need to
break
break
that
that
cycle.
cycle.
Yes.
And to
And to
break
break
that
that
cycle is
cycle
a
is a
simple
simple
act.
act.
Yes. Okay. All right. Whew, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Winnie Labate. All right. Patience Abiadu. How, this question is very important to me. How has the church reacted to the war so far?
I smiled when you asked that question because I've been there's this one person that I hate as a child of God. I hate to say that I hate somebody, but I dislike this person, the moderator of the Presbyterian Church. But let me start from the beginning. After the teachers and lawyers went on a strike in 2016, the Bamenda Provincial Episcopal Conference, BAPEC, happened, and they wrote on the 22nd of December, 2016, I believe, they wrote a memorandum to the head of state, President Paul Biya, about the current situation of unrest in what they call Northwest and Southwest regions. It was a very lengthy write-up. And reading it through at that time, I said, how powerful. If only the head of state had listened to listened to the content of that write-up and taken action. It was a great write-up at that time, because at that time, when the teachers and lawyers just made simple demands, a positive response would have prevented what we now have as a war on my people. Then the following year, 2017, October, they wrote another memorandum about the curfews that were taking place in that same part of the world, Northwest and Southwest regions. They wrote another letter hoping that the president will also respond, and he hasn't responded. Cardinal Toomey, may so rest in peace, had a survey. And in that survey, it was clear that majority of Southern Cameroonians would prefer their independence recognized. That also fell on deaf ears. This one person who is the moderator of the Presbyterian Church, Pastor Samuel Fonke, has been a thorn on the sides of Amazonian. He has left his people astray. He is not that shepherd that looks after his sheep. He is the one that would side with the government, La République du Cameroon, take their own side over his people. In his write-ups, he will put the blame on our sons and daughters, call them terrorists, when he knows exactly that they are simply defending themselves. In January 2021, the Pope's representative came to Bamenda. I forgot his name, pardon me. But we're hoping that with that visit, there would be some sort of recognition that this problem cannot be solved unless it is done so internationally. It cannot be a problem solved within Cameroon, as had been thought when they had their Grand National Dialogue 1 and 2 recently. So to answer your question in brief, Ms. Tom, the church has been a disappointment. The church has taken the side of the government. And the reasons could be that financially, they benefit from the government, or maybe they are afraid that they may be tortured or killed. Whatever the case may be, whatever the answer, the reason, they have not stood for the people that they represent. There was a case where there was military came into a village and even shot at the priest. Even yet, they are not taking the side of the people. So the church has been a disappointment.
Yes, I see the disappointment very vividly. And thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, as we move forward. Alana Bluesaw, Miss Bluesaw, were there any cultural traumas in your upbringing that living in America has helped you to heal from?
As I already mentioned, that I grew up in the Soviet Union, I grew up without faith, and that I realized being in this country for a bigger part of my life, that this has been a trauma and this trauma has been solved. I was able to find faith in the divine while living in the United States. Also, when I came to this country, I was very young. I was 22 years old, and my late husband and I, we bought a beautiful piece of land in Central Virginia, and I was welcomed by people living around there, people of all colors, with open arms. And I really appreciated that. I felt included. And so inclusion of all people, this is what I actually learned in this country. And also, I really enjoyed the notion of the freedom while being in the United States. I can see now that the freedoms are eroding and very, very fast. And the communist model is already being implemented in this country, unfortunately, because I lived through the communist country and I would not wish it onto anyone. So I'm hoping that people of this country will recognize what's happening before it's too late, before we have a Chinese model of communism with social credits in this country. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right.
Miss Andele, why do you think both wars are senseless and fanaticism is really the reason behind these wars? I definitely want to hear your answer.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Asia.
Asia.
I like that question. Thank you for asking it. You know, first of all, both wars are squarely on the shoulders of two human beings. Look, if Bia did not come from a meeting in West Africa, uh, at, at the airport, declare a war on his own so-called citizens. It has been proved that we were never his citizens. It's very clear right now. But at the time that he was declaring war on Amazonia, he was declaring war on his citizens. That is the same thing with Russia. Putin declaring this war on Ukraine. You know, did he sit with his government to decide? Was there any discussion between, what is it that is worth killing people for that cannot be discussed and solved? When you sit in your moments of peace and you think of all these things, you ask yourself, these human beings cannot create human beings. All attempts have failed, but they are so quick in killing God's creation. You did not create a human being. What gives you the right to kill another human being? It is senseless. In Amazonia, what caused the war? Amazonians have been marginalized. All their resources have been taken away, and their own part of the country has not been developed. No roads. Even the roads, the good roads that were there in 1961 when we were supposed to have our independence are no more. For 61 years, La Republique has been collecting the oil, the timber, everything, the gas. They've been selling everything. And no development has taken place on our side. So Amazonians, for once, say enough is enough. It is this audacity, the audacity of the Amazonians to say enough is enough, that made this government to kill over 4,000 people. Is that a good enough reason for genocide? Whatever is happening between Russia and Ukraine, there are stories that Ukraine wants to join NATO and Russia cannot join NATO. Bull crap. Is that enough reason to kill all those people? Look, I don't know from what direction they are looking. They say that a glass is half full or half empty. But as a mother, as a human being, as a citizen of the world, these are senseless wars. They need to stop. They need to stop.
Yes.
And
And
it is only the fanaticism of these two people, these two heads
heads
of
of state.
states who are causing all these deaths. Is it worth it? Is it worth it?
No.
Then,
You know,
I
I
yield,
use
Asia.
Asia.
Boy, when you yield, I tell you, I'd be ready to, I don't know. Thank you. Thank you so much, Emma Underlay. Thank you. All right. Miss Labate, our observation is that wars are decided by a few, while the majority are left to pay the price. How can we turn this around to ensure the voices of the majority are heard and that those voices impact global situations?
What a good question that just followed up the question that Ma Endele you had for Ma Endele. Yes, a few people sit and decide wars. But if we take a few steps back, why do they even start wars? I think the fundamental reasons for starting wars where you have an aggressor is greed. Greed is at the core of it. Why do those who can speak and should speak, why do they stay quiet? Most often it's for two reasons. Uh, People would say, it's none of my business, and they ignore it. And they could say, I have something to gain. I have a vested interest here. So I will not call what I'm seeing that is what is happening. A good example would be, I may give an example. There was an American missionary in a small town in Amazonia called Bambui, La République du Cameroon. Their military shot this missionary. The wife and children were in their car. Um, I expected at this point that America would have said, enough with this. Things have to change. And it's sad because some of the military equipments that were used were actually ones that were provided by the American government to fight terrorism. But it was turned against innocent civilians that were supposed to be demonstrating with peace plans um, and making political statements. Yes, few decide the war, majority of the people suffer. That's why we have over 1 million internally displaced people. That's why we have over 150,000 Amazonians as refugees scattered all over many countries, all the way into the United States. That's why America gave the people of Amazonia and Ukraine um, uh, TPS, which is a temporary protected status, because they know there is war there. But now, how can the voices of the majority be heard? Sometimes it may imply that we do what we call a boycott. If you know that something is being produced from an area where there is war, we can decide to go on a boycott, that we will not buy products that come from that country. And where it touches them at their pockets, guess what? They'll start listening. We can call onto our government and say, hey, guess what? We need global impact. We can start a movement. We can start a movement that will have global impact. We just need to call and let people join us, because we cannot continue and allow oppressors and perpetrators of senseless war to continue to have this war going on, and then they continue to benefit from all these wars. And granted, there are many people who don't want it to stop because they're making money out of it.
Okay. Oh, all right. Thank you. Thank you, Winnie Labate. Thank you. All right.
Asia, can I
Can I
just
just
add
add
one
one
thing
thing
to what
to
she
what she
said?
said?
You certainly can. Yes.
Okay,
Okay, you know,
she mentioned greed. See, for example, there's a war going on in Amazonia, and then the British Parliament is approving a gas or oil contract with the government of La République. These are the kinds of things that the world has to cry about. You know that these people are they need money. They are using this money to kill their own people. So how can you be signing a contract with them in the middle of a war? This is just one of the examples I'm adding to what
And
Man said.
said. And to be
Yes.
able to add something to what she said is just more amazing than I can handle. You know, so thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miss Underlay. Thank you very much. Miss Abiadu, some people consider the war in the Cameroons a civil war. What do you think about that?
Thank you, Ms. Tom. I'm going to quickly say something about the previous question, then I'm going to answer this question. I think that the two main reasons for war, they're just two words: power and money. If you go and check about why there are wars, it has to do with power and money. And thank you, Mawini. You mentioned about a movement. I think Ms. Tom is starting a movement right today as we are on this show to bring some change. Now to the question you asked me about the war in Amazonia, whether it's a civil war or something else. The best way to have an insight to that question is probably to analyze some important dates in our history. For me, I think that's the best way I can answer that question, because knowing about these dates will understand how unique and different these two nations are that are warring. First of all, let's go back a little bit to some treaties. There is an important article 76B of the UN Charter. And that article, I'm going to read it because I think it's very important, says that to promote the political, economical, social, and educational advancement of the inhabitants of the trust territories and their progressive development towards self-government or independence as may be appropriate to the particular circumstance of each territory. So basically, it was saying that when the United Nations, after World War II, decided that African countries should gain their independence, the former British Southern Commons, which was a trust territory of the British, had that right to also gain its own independence. La République du Cameroon had its independence on the 1st of January 1960. There was a plebiscite in February of 1961. And during that February, unfortunately, it was agreed that the former British trust territory, Southern Commons, was going to have its own independence on the 1st of October 1961. So let it be known that these two countries that were both colonies of the French and the British had separate days for independence. Resolution 1608 of April 1961 had 64 countries voting for the former Southern Cameroons to gain its independence. Incidentally, La République du Cameroon voted against us from getting that independence, along with France. So to make a long story short, on the 1st of October 1961, the day that we supposedly gained our independence, where we're supposed to be equal partners with La République du Cameroon, they took over our land because they knew of the wealth. In fact, Ahidjo, the then president, had signed an accord, an agreement with France, accepting that they would be under France because of the articles tells that the economical, the social, everything was going to be under the control of France. So by us being part of La République du Cameroon, it means that we were also part of that agreement. They discovered that we had a lot of wealth in our area, oil, minerals, resources, great resources. That's the source of war, money, and greed. However, this conflict that started in 2016 with the teachers and lawyers asking for simple changes became a war between two countries because the people that are from La République du Cameroon, they are not being killed. Their homes are not getting burnt. Their women are not getting raped. In fact, one of the atrocious crimes is having women being raped in front of their spouses or in front of their children. I forgot to mention that one. So these crimes are being meted only on the people from the former British Southern Cameroons. Recently, this past 50 years ago, May 20th, incidentally, is today's date, La République du Cameroon changed what they knew as a federal system into La République du Cameroon. So they assimilated us. So in their mind, they are thinking that it's one Cameroon. But we have gone through two conferences, AAC1, which is all Anglophone one conference, and AAC2, trying to solve this problem. And the problem was not solved. And today we have a war between two different nations, the former British Southern Cameroons and La République du Cameroon. So, Ms. Tom, Asia, this is not a civil war. It's a war between two different nations that had two different dates that they were gained their independence. And the international community knows this. And the only way to solve this be at the negotiation table.
All right. Thank you. I knew that. So thank you so much for the confirmation. And what I think it was Winnie Labate said about the movement, or you or somebody. Yes, exactly. We just need millions of people to open up, millions and millions of people to scream no more. We don't have to take this. We don't have to stand by and witness these atrocities. All right. Ms. Bluesall, what kind of perspective does your shamanic work give you about the conflict between your two home countries? It's amazing that these are both your home countries. Amazing. But between your two home countries and wars in general.
Thank you. Great question. Well, the way I see it from my shamanic perspective, there is an echo. The way I see it from my shamanic perspective is this. Humanity is living right now in a process of transition from one epoch or one state of consciousness to another. I look at situations in the world as processes and not merely events. Like, for example, the war in Ukraine is a process. The war in Cameroon is a process. So it has a source and it will have an ending. And so the great light is rising on our planet right now. However, as you know, the brightest light provides the darkest shadow. So with this great light, the great darkness emerges as well. However, although people think the darkness is the opposite of light, I don't see it that way. The darkness is the absence of light. And as an absence of something, it has no presence, it has no essence, it has no power. It's like the sun never really sets, the earth turns away from the sun. And God never abandoned us either. We turned away from it. So the good news is, because the darkness is absence of light, by itself it has no presence and no power. We give it power. And if we give it power, we can take it away. So the consciousness of people needs to change for the wars to end. And we need to learn the value of life right now in this blatant promotion, the times of blatant promotion and cult of death and gore and murder. And we need to treat life as a miracle, because it is, and we need to truly care. The universe is our mother, and God is our father, and earth and her inhabitants, all of her inhabitants are their baby. And we humans, because we are aware of that, we need to treat earth and all of her inhabitants with love and respect. And we need to help our mother and father to succeed in raising this baby. So we need to nurture our innate impulse to serve life. With every act, with every thought, and every word, to ask ourselves a question: am I serving life or am I serving death? And some people will say death is a normal occurrence. And I agree, if death is of old, ripe age. But death by starvation, death by bombing, death by torture and gore, what our sisters today from Cameroon was sharing, what's going on in their country, I don't think this is a normal occurrence. And as souls, we really need to take our journeys right now more seriously. As a shaman, I can tell you with all conviction and experience that killing another rips your soul apart. It damages your soul. And it derails the evolution of the soul. And I'm not claiming to be a person who has all the answers. I'm not claiming to be a person, who has solutions for all of the world problems. I only see one solution. The solution is love. The solution is, we have to shift our awareness and treat life with love. So I am complete here.
Oh, so well said. Thank you. Yes, that's the answer. Love is truly the answer. That's our weapon. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Miss Andele, as a mother, what would your advice be to Putin and to Biya, including those responsible for those senseless wars and genocide? In other words, including those who are bunched with them in their evil.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
uh, Asia. You know, the reason why I I am so involved in the Amazonian revolution or struggle or movement, whatever you want to call it, is first of all because I am a mother. We carry babies for 9 months. We labor for hours before we have these children. Some of us even lose our lives in the process. Why should somebody who did not birth a child come and kill this child? Take this child away from you. You know, I would say, I would advise as a mother, I would talk to Putin and Paul Biya. Paul Biya, we know his wife is Chantal Biya. And France, we know his wife, he's married and she has children. We know that Putin has children as well. Please stop these wars. You can do it. The same way you ordered the wars to begin, you can stop the wars. Start negotiating. Stop the killing. How do you sleep at night when you see the babies you kill, the old people that your bombs are killing, even the soldiers, your own soldiers, the way they are dying? Is anything worth it? It's a pity. I will only advise them stop the wars and start the discussions. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Now we are going to allow, if we will, our minister, our house minister, for Storms, who is presenting this program. She's going to ask you all. Yes, she's going. She wants to ask you some questions based on the spiritual aspect. And what I would love for you to do is just at random, whoever wants to answer the question. But if not, then I'll ask one of you to answer it. But Miss Boyd, Carlette Boyd, will you share with us, unmute, and ask these questions, please?
Yes,
There. Can you see the screen, or do you have them before you?
I have it.
Okay.
Ladies, this is an open question. Do you, in your heart, ever feel as if God could have done a better job of protecting the innocent people of Amazonia and Ukraine?
You want me to take that?
I sure do.
Okay. Thank you so much, Khaled, for that question. Well, God is an all knowing God. When we think about the Israelites, how they suffered for 40 years in the wilderness to go to the promised land, God already knew all that was going to happen. He planned it that way. And through that experience, he had some children of his that believed in God, like Moses, like Joshua, like Aaron. They believed in God and listened to God through the pain, through the anguish, through the suffering. And so for the people in Ukraine and the people in Amazonia, God already had this planned. But of course, we ask that question, why? Why would God want his children to suffer? Only God knows the answer to that. But through all the suffering comes out the strength, the beauty of God. Because at the end, he blesses us. He shows us his wonders. And as long as we believe that there are better days ahead, because God is all-knowing, he's almighty, he's all-powerful, then we know that the suffering will come to an end in both Amazonia and Ukraine, because there is a God. Thank you
Thank
for
you
that
for that
question.
question. Yes.
Thank you so
Amen.
much.
All right.
A
Thank you.
beautiful answer.
Yes. Next question, Miss Boyd.
Second Chronicles 7:14 is a familiar scripture often used in corporate prayer and intercession. If my people, called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and heal their land. What relevance, if any, do you find in this scripture for this cause? And it can be used to unite people for this cause? Why or why not?
Let me answer that.
That
Is that
is that
okay?
okay? Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
I am glad that Miss Boyd actually quoted that scripture. Prayer is a very, very important cornerstone that God created for us human beings to use not only to get relief from what is burdensome to us, but also to communicate with Him. And it's not meant only for our personal consumption, it's meant for us to pray for others, to pray and intercede for our nations and for our people, and to intercede so that God will step in. To be a little bit theological, God created us human beings and gave us the free will to make choices. And even in our choices, sometimes the choices we make are choices that are evil and bad, but it affects others in those choices. So God now sees this wickedness and He creates a way of escape. That's why He calls us to come into corporate, coming together. If my people, He didn't say if my only prophet, only pastor, He said my people who are called by my name, we are the children of God, created in His image. If we humble ourselves, if we call on Him, if we go along together and cry for help for Him to step in and intervene, He does it. He does it at His own time, at His own bidding, and He is omnipotent, and He is omniscient, and He's also omnipresent. While human beings may do things for a while, most of them operate under a spirit. Spirits don't die, but human beings die. That's why there was a Hitler in the 1930s, and today we have a Putin in the 21st century. And prior to that, we had other people. So, what we want to pray, we want to ask God is that, Lord, help us, heal our land, heal our people, and bring the good that is in us so that we can look up to you and let you intervene. And God can do so even divinely.
Yes, yes. Thank you for
For
that
that
answer.
answer. Yes, thank you for that answer.
What percentage of
Percentage of
Earth's
Earth.
adult population, if they would demand a ceasefire everywhere, would it take to end war throughout the earth? And would God be pleased?
Let,
Let,
let me
okay. Let me
answer that.
answer that. Thank you. Yes.
You know that one of the Ten Commandments of God, which Moses went himself to collect from Mount Sinai, from God himself, says, "Thou shalt not kill." So, how can killing ever please God? God says, yes, you should defend yourself. So, Amazonians have the right to defend themselves, and they only defend themselves from being killed. If La Republique packs their weapons and moves back to their own country, there will be no reason to kill anybody. So that will please the Lord because we are not supposed to kill. As I said earlier, we did not create ourselves. You cannot make a human being. So who gives you the rights to kill? To kill one? To take somebody's life. I don't see, I don't know what these people have done to their consciences, how much they have sold their consciences, but it can never be right. Yes, God will be happy with a ceasefire. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
And one more question, ladies, and then we will start moving toward concluding. Um, I am, what is the word? I may think of it before the show ends. I'm all the way up there. So thank you, Minister Boyd, if you would move forward with the final question.
1 Corinthians 13 is described as the chapter of love, a more excellent way. How do we get those who are not involved to see that their love and compassion is very much needed to help turn things around?
Let me answer that.
Yes.
Okay.
Um, I'm glad Paul gave the First Corinthians chapter 13, the chapter of love. Love is this, 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 and it is not that, that, that. Um, Before that, Moses had the the second commandment that was important, which even Jesus said, "Love the Lord your God." When one of the Pharisees tried to test him, he said, "Love your neighbor as yourself." The first question that should be coming for you to be able to really love others, you need to learn to love yourself and love yourself the way God created you. See yourself in the image of God. You did not make yourself, God made you. And if you can see yourself as God made you and love yourself as He made you, it will be easier for you to reach out because you have a healing in your heart and you have this wholesomeness about you in God. Then you can reach out to love others. If greed, power mongering, control, and all the vices of evil that we see that leads up to war, it's not love. And those people love something else. They don't love God and they don't love themselves. They love something else. It's either, that's why scripture even says the love of money is the root of all evil. Going down to the core of wars is the love of money, greed, and hatred and wickedness. That's all the ingredients that is needed to get wars to get started and to explode. So let every one of us who is here today listening go back. Thank God for that little thing that you have that He has given you: talent, food, shelter, and appreciate it and look at yourself and say, God, you have fearfully created me. You wonderfully crafted me, placed me in my mother's womb, and made me in your image. And I love myself for that. And this is not to downplay what some people go through where they have mental problems like depression and other things, anxiety. There is room that you can heal and you can get help. Get help to take care of that image that God created in love so that you can be able to love others. And in so doing, you bring wholeness to yourself and to the world and make it a better place.
Aisha, can I
Wow.
add something
Aisha, can I
quickly to
add
that?
something quickly to
I
that?
would love for you to add something to that. Thank you. But let me just say, Winnie Labate, thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Because that is the answer, Winnie. Yes. Thank you. Patience, please. Yes.
Yes, I
Yes,
thought that
I thought
it
that
probably
it
will
probably will
uh,
uh,
come out
come out
clearer if I
clearer
just
if I
read
just read
a portion
a
of that
portion of that
chapter.
chapter.
Love is
Okay.
Love is
patient.
patient.
Uh-oh.
Patience, you
Patience,
need
you
to
need to
unmute.
Oh,
unmute.
I muted myself. I will go over. Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not
It is not
arrogant
arrogant
or rude.
or rude.
It does not
It does
insist
not.
on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes in all things, hopes all things, endures all things. I thought I add that because the question also asks, how do we get those who are not involved to be involved? If you read this particular chapter of the Bible and understand this verse, which is used so many times at weddings, you understand that, as Mawini said, if you love your neighbor as you love yourself, then you don't want what is happening to your neighbor because you're sad. So in the case of Southern Cameroon, can you imagine if the people from French Cameroon, La République du Cameroon, had loved us like their brothers and intervened in this war and say, Bia, why are you killing our brothers? The war would have not gone as far. So I thought I should add that. Thank you so much.
A tremendous addition. Thank you. Yes. Thank you for bringing that scripture that flows all over this truth. Thank you. And yes, Miss Blue Saul.
As I have mentioned already, I have been raised in an atheistic society, and so when I came to this country, the faith that I found, it wasn't easy. Every inch of faith was earned by me. But I would like to add something that is not from the Bible, but it's an old. I don't even know Russian or Ukrainian. It's an old proverb. The old man is talking to a young child, and he's saying, "Do you know why there is so much evil on the planet?" "Why?" asks the child. "Because the evil is actively financed." "And what about goodness?" "Goodness is not financed. Goodness is supported by the conscience of people and the truth." "And do you know why the goodness and kindness will win in the end?" "Why?" asks the child. "Because money sooner or later will run out, but the conscience and truth never."
Yes. It's a profound truth that can be taught to a child. It's so simple yet so amazing. Thank you for adding that. Yes. Yes. Ladies, woo, ladies, we were going to go through where I was going to show this video of you, and you guys were going to tell the listeners what your dream is in all of this and what you want to do, you know? And what we want is so profound, and what we are going to achieve is so profound. Tonight tells me that completely. Tonight brings me to no doubt. That's what tonight did for me. Just none. We are doing this. We are going forward. We're going to have millions of people who love God like we do, millions of people who abhor, hate, can't stand war. We're going to have them. This is coming. The time has come. God says now. So we can't do that, but we will start our next show. People, this is a 3-part series. The second part will be where we will come and we will talk about some of the things we have lightly touched on, the spiritual and emotional impact of war, whether it's happening in your country or not,
Well, like in the United States, when we're sitting down to our luscious dinners, because I love to cook a luscious dinner. What is this doing to me when I eat all of that good food and know that my sisters are in Amazonia having to put on weeds and grass to take care of their sanitary needs? What is it doing to my psyche for me to have that going on? Can I really live that life and think that it's going to be all good? No, it's not going to be all good. How do I know? I'm 73 years old and I have learned it. I have seen it. I know it. It comes to no good end if we don't smote it, get rid of injustice and murder and abuse and starvation. If we don't stop it, then we lose our very soul. So I am so glad for what we've done here tonight as we open these doors to this amazing topic, these subjects of, and I look forward to our journey forward. Our next meeting will have the most amazing outcome. I know it will, as it leads us into the third of this series. What are we going to do about it? What are we going to do? What is the action we're going to take? I'm not interested in singing to the saints, preaching to the saints and singing to the choir. They already sing, they already saints. I want to go out here and change the world, and that's what we are going to do no matter what. Because who in this group right here is scared? I don't think I see not a single one. I can't even imagine none of y'all being scared. So here we go. I am so proud to know you. I love every one of you. You are my stuff. I love you. I love strength. I love dignity. I love fight. I love it. And you guys possess it to the very epitome of your being. We will move forward. So if there's something that you guys can say in 3 minutes, then somebody please join in and say that. And then we will allow Carlette to do a 30-second leave us out, because we got to bookend this thing with prayer, guys. Yes. All right. Anybody have anything you need to say? Or have you said it all?
I can start.
Okay.
So, when I met Miss Toms about 4 years ago, little did I know that was the beginning of a rewarding partnership to effect positive change in the world at large. I was touched by a woman, a mother, who had felt the deepest pain a mother could feel because her son was brutally murdered for no reason. She came out of this experience a community giant, full of love. And this love has led to this mission to silence the gun and give people a chance to pursue a life of peace, freedom, and happiness. Wars have existed throughout the ages, and even with civilization, we still see so much suffering due to war in the 21st century. As God's creation, we are one big family. Yet there's so much destruction and death due to war. That is why I'm so thankful to Miss Asia Storms for dreaming big. Martin Luther King Jr., in his I Have a Dream speech in 1963, in the March on Washington, said, "I have a dream that my 4 little children, will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by their color of their skin, but by the content of their character." And today, we see young white and blacks holding hands and working together for the common good. So dreams are powerful. Let me seize this opportunity to remind us of some other wonderful quotes by Martin Luther King. The time is always right to do what is right. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And finally, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. These quotes are central, in my opinion, to the Dare to Dream movement by Ms. Tom. Being part of this movement, aiming for world peace, is a worthy undertaking and can only be realized by taking one step at a time and holding hands with others. The war in Ukraine is the most recent war that shows daily on social media and TV the ills of war. The pain that the father or mother or child feels in Ukraine to the loss of their loved ones or property is the same pain that a mother or father or child feels in Amazonia. And here we are, as part of a dream to bring about world peace by stopping war one nation at a time, by waging peace to end wars. Yes, it's a lofty dream, and we all are players in the dream. You are listening to me right now, and you will influence someone else because you listen to me, because you listen to Asia and said, yes, we can do it. We can end wars by waging peace.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you too. And I want to ask all the listeners and everyone who will be listening to this recording, which I'm sure will be many, many of you, to next time when we meet in 2 weeks, because we need to bring all this juice together. So next week I will be here introducing the Storm authors, and I want you to join us so you can meet these incredible people who minister. Carlette Boyd is one of them, incredible writer, has written a book called 7 Grands, where she wants grandmothers to come out of the crevices of this world and start leading, being the matriarchs you are. So I'm so proud of those authors, and I will be discussing them to give us a week to make that next meet that we come together here on as we do this, because this is not just talk here. This is action. This is moving to action. So I'm so proud of these ladies here. They are, if I had to go into a real war and a real battle, and I had to pick my I would pick. Okay. And so I thank you for being here with all of my heart. And we will leave it at this. I'll do a little video to take us out. And I ask everybody, if you didn't put in the chat something, question or a comment that you wanted to make, we might be a little late for that now, but please bring those comments and those thoughts and what you're thinking, because these recordings will move out. So I thank you with all of my heart, and we are going to end the show. All right, after we pray. All I gotta say is I thank you. I'm sorry, thank you. All right, Minister Boyd.
Lord, in Jesus' name, we thank you for this time. We thank you for this opportunity that you've allowed the light to shine, and the light in us will continue to shine to dispel the dark. The 2 or 3 gathered in your name, touching and agreeing, so that you can come in and do what only you can do, God. Allow your love and your truth to dispel the dark, that your creation's lives are saved, and every creature, everyone you created can be all that you can call them to be. They can live long on the earth, and they can prosper and be in good health, even as their souls prosper. We thank you tonight for that you be with each one, family that's represented, ladies that came forward. Bless them, keep them, strengthen them, and help us, Lord, to be back another time to do the work that you called us to do. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 And Mr. Williams, you can go on and play us out now. All right. Good night, ladies.
Good night.
All I gotta say.
Sorry. I think I did that.
All I gotta say is I thank you. I thank you. All I gotta
right. Good night, ladies.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night. Thank you. That's good.